Intro. We've all either read or watched The Hunger Games in some way or another. If you haven't, I bet you just know the story around it. It was the story that was everywhere when it came out, and especially in the early 2010s. It got to the point where you could even see what would happen in an imaginary situation of the game. There's still a website up for that if you want to do that, run your own experiment. But the story is kind of more than just The Hunger Games, which sounds confusing since it's the title of the movie, but it involves dystopias. It's about class division and all this different stuff relating to how things like dystopias are made. Now that we know that, let's just go over a quick summary of the story. We get introduced to Katniss Everdeen, who is part of District 12. She and her friend Gale are in the forest, just in time for the tributes to be called. The tributes are for the Hunger Games, which you all know, which is punishment for rebellion that all 13 districts did. Now it's 12 because 13 magically disappeared. We don't talk about that. Also good to know, each region is special in one way or another. Smiley face. District 12 is the coal region, I'm pretty sure, so it doesn't have the best quality of life. So Katniss and Gale go to the tribute selection process. I wonder who's gonna be picked. And it's Primrose, Katniss's younger sister, and also Peeta, not like Family Guy Lois. Of course, we can't have a 12-year-old go into the Hunger Games. I mean, we could, but that's kind of immoral to do, and we have morals. Also, it's Katniss's younger sister. So, she volunteers as tribute for the district. Now that we have that all set, everyone says goodbye, and we go to the capital. It's a rich, fancy place where everyone looks too rich to even talk to you, if you didn't get that tax cut. We meet Effie and Haymitch as they guide Katniss and Peeta to the capital. They tell them to be likable to get sponsors. That's just like YouTube, I guess, and every other business motto. It's like trying to be voted in, and you have to be likable, which, or more likable enough to get stuff like money and supplies. They do this by having Peeta say he loves Katniss. Big moves. Hopefully it works out for both of them. It only does if Katniss goes along with the act, and she does. So this is big news for super PACs. Then we get ready for the games. Don't worry, it's exactly like Minecraft Hunger Games, but it just has more special effects this time. You also get to go through a tube instead of being teleported there. Let's talk about what happens in the games. A bunch of people die immediately. They go for the cornucopia. Katniss tries to avoid the tributes, but the people in charge cause a forest fire to get her back into the center. Katniss is then chased by wealthy tributes into a tree. She kills them with bees, very poisonous bees, and just claims their weapons as a form of revenge. It's like dancing on somebody's dead body. Peeta helps Katniss get out by helping her in her fatigued state. We also get a new ally, Rue. She's from District 11, and she and Katniss destroy supplies that other tributes were keeping to themselves. So just greediness. After doing this, the guard gets killed by somebody from a rich neighborhood because he didn't do his job. But then sadness happens. Rue is dead. Frowny face emoticon. Not yet, but she's stabbed by some idiot named Marvel. Not even in the MCU, little Rue. And you did this. Luckily, Rue's death causes some riots in her district, which upsets those in power. We'll get into why later. Then the conditions of the games change to have 2 winners instead of just 1. They just have to be from the same district. So now Katniss and Peeta are together, and they announce everything everyone would need in the middle. Not them, but the announcers, so they have supplies in the middle if they want them. Katniss heads to the cornucopia and leaves Peeta alone. She goes to get the medicine, and when she gets there, some rich tribute gloats about killing Rue. She gets killed by Thresh, who also spares Katniss because of Rue, and they're from the same district. Then Katniss runs back and helps Peeta by giving him the medicine. Then some girl accidentally eats poisonous berries, also known as fox face. That is what her legal name is. She dies, but also Thresh dies, and wolves chase everyone left onto the top of the cornucopia. Cato, another rich tribute, holds Peeta captive until Katniss shoots his hand, and Peeta does the wombo combo to push him into the wolves. You would think it's over, but no. Cato survives the entire night somehow, but afterwards they removed the rule for 2 survivors, which is kind of cheap, gonna be honest. Reality TV shows do not do that. Katniss and Peeta decide to eat the berries, so there's no winner, but the games just allow both of them to win instead, so they don't eat the berries. They return home pretty happy, but Haymitch tells them they now have enemies. They've broken the system, and the people in charge are pretty upset. Mad face emoticon. To talk about Panem's current situation, and I don't know if it's current, but their situation, we need to first answer the question, what is the Hunger Games? They were basically punishment by the Capitol to force the 12 districts, now 12, to fight each other and give them some sort of entertainment. It basically shows the idea between I am up here and you are down there. There is nothing you can do about that, that's just the system you are in. It's a system nobody in it can change, and the people at the top, which are the people in the Capitol, don't want to be changed, because it would, boo-hoo them. Imagine this. You have total control over all these people. They do your bidding because they know that you can just take them over and put down any riot. Would you want to be at the top? I mean, it seems pretty much common sense we would want to. It puts us in power. And it puts people below us. They're doing our bidding. If you're equal to people, you're not ahead. What's the point in that? The system Panem promotes is one that says, if you're above anybody, you should get what benefits you deserve over them. And in the Hunger Games universe, and as seen in the end of the actual Hunger Games, the only way to break that system or bring awareness to that issue is to break it from the inside, not the outside. There's a lot of things that are that, especially in a system like America's, as of the Big 25. A lot of people don't feel that tax cut, and we're still waiting for rich people to donate money to places. Panem also hasn't seen a trickle for a while, or ever probably. Of course, the Capitol isn't like the actual Washington, D.C. It was probably just a way to make a blunt, good comparison overall. But getting back to the Hunger Games, they're meant to represent one big thing: authority. The power and control a small amount of people have on the rest of the country. That's it. They produce fear from these districts, and that's the only reason they fall in line. It's a blatant, yet extreme form of authority and fascism that's shown. The idea that everyone must be put into certain boxes and do what I want to do with them, with restrictions on their freedom and not mine. There's no word to describe it but fascism, really. It also acts as a warning sign, but we can talk about that later in this video. Right now it's about the wealth division. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that in Panem, after watching the movie or reading the book, whichever one you chose, think that money, for the people who have it, can buy them whatever they want? If your answer was yes, you may see parallels for our reality to draw that conclusion. You may also pick up on the very little subtle details that the Capitol is very rich. There's a dichotomy in the movie between the people who have wealth and the people who don't. They've bought their way to the top, and now they get to watch their little test rats fight it out every year. It's a game for them. It's a fun thing to play with like dolls, because their lives don't matter, mine do. As long as they give a really good show and make it entertaining for us. That's all they are to us, a show. But then you ask the next question, what made these people worthy of getting up to the position they're in? There's an answer that a lot of people give, and that's the fact that they got their money through either their parents or by exploiting people. Hard work, in quotes. What it does is create worth, saying if you can put yourself above others, then you get the wealth and power you deserve over these people, when that shouldn't be the case. A state where people are classified by their money is something that is bound to fail if that's the only thing focused on. money can only get you so far. So when you have stuff like this, it causes a division in society that lies more underneath than anything else. But as we can see in the Hunger Games, the underground starts to turn to what we see as the overground, since it is large enough in this world and in Panem. But wealth division is just bound to happen if you have people who are super successful, right? No, it only really happens when it's allowed to happen. You could always use the excuse that they worked hard, but you could try to replicate what they did and it doesn't work. It's called being lucky with either family, wealth, or timing, because nobody can make another Amazon today with that much success. But success doesn't have to mean you're above everyone else. Success in that sense would just mean you failed at being human. That's really all it is, in simple terms. Cooperation isn't for snowflakes, it's just a natural human thing we do. And that's what we were kind of meant to do. I'm not in favor of a hierarchical system. You may be, but that's your own thing based on different things than mine. But overall, economics is something else. So all you really need to take away is money should be divided more evenly so less people struggle. That's just how it should be, and Panem shows a warning of what could be if it gets to a certain point or a threshold. Now, the music kind of helps elevate the themes of wealth division, but it's not fully as blunt as what I mentioned before. When you're in the districts like District 12, it sort of has a folk feeling, like melancholy, which makes sense. It matches the tone of the district and what it looks like, basically putting you into Katniss's perspective. It's a type of dichotomy that makes the movie a little bit more subtle, but the book, there is no music, so the movie has to portray that somehow. But if you pull your ears close to the TV speakers, you'll notice the difference in sounds when we enter the Capitol. All of a sudden, it's everywhere. The horns and the fancy and loud instruments. It's different in actually showing how these places differ in living. When you're in places like the Capitol, it gives you a sense that you're below them. You know when you go to your grandma's house or someone like that, where when you just feel out of place when you go there? That's really what the music is supposed to be. The feeling of not being able to touch anything because it's too out of place for you. It does that idea well, where you feel like you're surrounded by rich people who have too much snobbiness in them, in their fashion and the way they talk. So in terms of what that does well, it does it well. It's a mood setter type of soundtrack, but what it does to the mood of these places is very good. It makes you feel like where you are without being too in your face. It's not an extreme version of it. It's just a subtle messaging thing that tells you where you are and what it's like. Like something like the wind of where you are and if it's fresh or not. Like, you know when you smell the air and you're like, okay, this is a clean place. That's basically what the music is supposed to be like here. But also, unrelated, but there was an album for music inspired by the movie. It doesn't make too many appearances in the movie, but it has more pop sounds, I would say. So if that's your jam, then maybe you'll enjoy that. But just listen to the music to see if you agree with the things I said. But overall, the music is good for mood setting and like the action in the game specifically, which it does well as well. It's easier to break stuff than it is to create it. It's an idea that applies to a bunch of aspects in everyone's lives. From homes to cars, it's really easy to just bam, break it. But we don't do that because we know we have to get it back. We know that we should have it, so we say to ourselves in our mind, we need this. This is ours and my life would be worse without it. Now, using that logic, we can switch the topic we use it for. But we can change a few words first to make it more useful in the context of connections. It's easier to hate than it is to love. As we know, there is a division between wealth in some areas, but sometimes wealth can buy influence over some people. Just because money can buy you happiness, or whatever sappy thing some people say. In the Hunger Games, we can see all the districts and how much they are influenced by the hate that the Capitol has made them have for each other. The Capitol's job is to make sure the districts hate each other, so the show is more satisfying and entertaining for them. Some districts, like the ones who I referred to as giving the rich tribute, give into this hate. They prepare for it. It kind of also gives into the thing that some people nowadays give into hating others for things they can't control or allowed to have. It's a way to divide people socially so that other problems can be forgotten about. Because some people realize that everyone can get behind getting rid of wealth division in one way or another. But we're currently in the breaking part of the cycle. Breaking and creating is more of a cycle of how we view people, I like to imagine, but it's never safe to assume the cycle will just go on its own. Something always happens, or work is done to make any cycle keep circulating. There's always going to be bad people, but never generalized based on any characteristics of them. That's what happens in Panem, where people fight and base each other off of their district, not their character. Nobody can control where they are born, and I've mentioned this before, but it's just kind of crazy how much that matters to some people. Sometimes it gets to a point, and that's when realizing what the larger issue is, the influence some people have, because money shouldn't buy influence, it should only buy what you need and want to get in life. And also, people have to realize that there is something that can be done to make wealth inequality go down. No more, that's just the system, because the system shouldn't put others down, especially you. Considering the messaging of the movie, it did pretty well in the box office. It had a $78 million budget and made $694 million in the box office worldwide. So pretty good profits for a movie about a dystopian wealth division, but it also looks like it did well considering it got a lot of positive review scores. It has a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which is like good, and an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. Since positive review scores mean people felt the story and it was good, it means that some people may now be aware of what the story was warning about. And with a 3.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd, it shows that this is an actual issue that can be portrayed well. Because some opinions or things, some not even issues, can't really be portrayed in any good light since they're born in bad faith. But 68% on Metacritic, that's pretty good, is the only one that seems alright considering that's also like the lowest score provided when multiplied. Just some things that happen due to strict rating scales and stuff like that. But overall, a lot of positive reviews, so that's good. Now we know about the Hunger Games and its wealth division. The rest of the movies essentially follow a riot and overtaking the system. But those can wait for another day, I guess. Overall, I would recommend some of them. Not all of them, but most of them if you like the book. I had to read the book in junior year of high school, so I would also recommend that, but I'm not going to rate that one. I will rate the movie though, and I'll rate it pretty highly since it is a pretty good movie and it's unique. I would recommend it like most movies covered here. Personally, I would give it an 8.8 out of 10, but that's just me. Form your own opinion on it by watching it if you're interested, but that's it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Pretty please.